All right. Well, we are here. We're ready to start sessions with Sam. I hope everybody's doing okay. We've had a several week hiatus, but welcome to season 2 of Sessions with Sam. If you're in the chat, give a shout out. Love to hear from you. Say hello. And I see Mohib Zara is joining us. Virgil Vox on Twitter. He'll be helping out on our moderation today. Rob is taking a break at the moment. So today we're going to be talking about, we should get rid of this. We're not starting soon anymore, are we? Hang on just a moment here. Here we go. All righty. Today we're going to be talking about secrets and how do you work with secrets in SAM templates. Now you can do it in code, you can do it in templates, you can do a hybrid of both, but mainly today what we're going to be talking about is dealing with secrets in the SAM templates and how does that work. So as you have questions, throw them out there. Brent Contain, yo, how are you? Hey, I know Brent Contain. Good to see you, man. All right, I got my Diet Dr. Pepper. Now, I have heard from some of you, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. There is a Dr. Pepper shortage going on right now, and quite a few people reach out to me and say, are you okay? I am doing okay. I have a good stash, so I got my Dr. Pepper. I got my Serverless for Everyone Yeti. I got my shirt. We're good to go. Let's jump into this. All right. So let me bring on my screen here real quick so we can take a look at this. Now, remember, I'm going to be kind of looking over here because my screen's at the side, so I'm not ignoring you if I'm looking this way. But first thing we're going to be looking at is there's two aspects of this, okay? We're going to talk about using secrets in our SAM templates, but we're also going to be talking about creating secrets in our SAM template. Right. And so how do we use this to kind of manage our secrets? And we're going to be talking about the AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. We're also going to be talking about the AWS Secrets Manager and when to use each, because there's a line on it where you kind of need to know what to do. Now, this changes if you're doing it in code. So let's kind of talk about that for a second. When I create a Lambda function, I can actually have the SAM template go grab the value out of the secrets manager or the SSM parameter store and insert it as a variable or something like that. Or I can grab it in code. Now, the difference there is if I grab it in the parameter, then or when I'm creating the function, then it's always there and I don't have to make an API call out to do that. The downside of that is you have to redeploy the Lambda if you change that. Okay, so you need to balance on how are we going to do this. Do we need to grab it each time, or are we good for it to that parameter to stay the same as as the life of that Lambda until we actually update the code? All right, I hope that makes sense. So if this is something that I want to change, I want it to take effect immediately, then we'll want to call the API within our code to grab the parameter from our system's parameter or something like that. All right. So let's take a look at this and kind of explain what I'm doing here. Now, this first template, we're actually going to start at the bottom of the template first to kind of make sense. I'm creating 4 parameters. Now, if you know anything about me, the rules, I don't know if I've given the rules in a while, but it's important to understand I use my hands to talk a lot. And I believe that this is any question I want it to be. And I just got notified that our YouTube streaming might not be working. So, okay, well, I will copy this over later from Twitch. Not a problem. I appreciate that, Jay Walsh. Thanks for telling me. I'm not sure what's happened here. I'm looking real quick to see if I can see anything. But now we only have a limited time, so I'm not going to troubleshoot that, but we'll take care of it. Thank you again. I appreciate you notifying me of that. All right, so on Twitch here, if you're looking, if you're hopefully, hey, Mohib, would you send a tweet saying, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, go over to Twitch. That'd be great. That'd be really helpful. All right. So I'm going to create 4 parameters. And earlier I was saying the rules when I'm talking is this is any number I want it to be. Okay, I'll hold up one finger. I know that's not 4, but that's the way I do it. All right. So the 4 parameters I'm creating is one, I'm creating a DB engine parameter. It really doesn't matter what I'm creating here. These are just kind of made up so we can use it. But this is the engine on it. It doesn't have to be secret. I don't care that people know which DB engine I'm using, MySQL or something like that. Okay. The second parameter I'm creating is the DB version. Again, not a secret. That's okay if people know that. So I'm just creating, and you can see in here that I'm creating both of these in the AWS SSM parameter store. Okay. Now, these two down here, the DB name parameter, I do want to protect the name of my DB. You may not, but I do. Okay, so I'm creating a SecretsManager secret, and the name of that is going to be my app DB name. Okay, and up here you can see the my app DB version and the my app DB engine. Now the last one I'm creating is let's pull this over so you can see it, is I'm creating another SecretsManager, but instead of passing a string, which will be passed in, I'm going to build a JSON object, because SecretsManager can actually store it as strings or JSON objects. Okay, so I'm going to build a JSON object, and this kind of shows the difference here. Now, let's go back up to the top. So in order to populate these, I'm actually passing them in when I pass the SAM template. Right, so I'm going to say, hey, SAM deploy, and then I'll pass the state in. We'll see that in just a minute. Okay, up here, I'm creating the actual, this is where I ask the user for this data. Okay, so I'm actually creating parameters that you can pass in as parameter overrides, or if you're doing SAM deploy, the guided version, you can actually pass those in as we set it up, and you'll see that in just a moment. Now, what I'm doing here is, again, I'm setting my default to MySQL, but they can change it. I'm setting my DB version, you have to insert it. My DB name, I'm doing string. Now notice here I've added a tag in SAM said no echo. Now no echo tells the system, hey, these are a secret and let's hide it everywhere we can. All right. So one, the guided deploy is not going to save that locally. Okay, so that's a nice thing. Two, we're going to mask those in some different places, but not everywhere. And I'll show you that in a minute. Important to understand. Okay, and so for my DB name, my DB username, and my DB password, those are all set to no echo true. All right, so let's go ahead and deploy this so you can see what's happening here. All right, so I've got some weirdness going on here with my template. Let's just enter that. Hope that doesn't break things. All right, so in order to do this, I'm going to pull this back over again so you can see more, so it makes sense. I'm going to do a guided deploy. So I'm going to do SAM deploy -G. That can also be -- guided. This is less typing for me, and I'm a horrible typer. So there you go. All right, so what this is going to do, it's going to ask me a couple things. First of all, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass this. The name of my stack is going to be SSM values. Okay, the next thing, my region, I want it to go to US West 2. Now, here's where it picks up my default. My DB engine, that's MySQL. I'm happy about that. I can change that to PostgreSQL or something else if I want to, but let's go ahead and do that. The DB version, well, we always use the latest here. Okay, I'm that guy who deploys, alpha software to production. You never want me as, you're the guy in charge. So there you go. So we'll use the latest here. My DB name. So I'm going to type. Now notice when I typed in 8.01, that showed. Here, when I type my DB name, because I don't want to share this, DB dev. Okay. So apparently I'm not real safe because I also say it as I type it. Okay. Use the stable. Nah, come on. All right. So the DB username, and I'm going to say that again here. All right. And finally, the DB password. All right. So now when I hit enter, the next thing I'm going to do is hey, do I want to confirm changes? Nope, I don't need to. It'll give me the change set, but I'm going to have it go on. Yes, I need to create the role to be able to do this. Now it creates the role based on the credentials I'm passing in. I have admin access to this account, so that's the role that it creates. So it has that kind of power. I can limit that, but that's something to understand. Okay, so that's when we're creating secrets, and who can read the secrets. It's based on the credentials I'm passing in. And I want to save all this to my config file. Now, notice here, it's going to go kind of fast. All right, see, I've got my DB name. You see how that is blocked out? See here. All righty. But right here, this is kind of interesting. My username and my password in this. So don't do this in front of people that you don't want to see this. Okay, that's one of the things is it shows that. And I'm going to talk to the team, and that's something I'm push back on. Is we really probably should have that masked out as well. So hey, Chris Munns is here. Welcome, Chris Munns. All righty, yeah. Someone's telling me again, use the stable version. I get that. But I don't use that. I don't use relational database anyway. Can I increase the font size? I absolutely can. Let me blow that up just a little more. All right. Well, that's pretty big. Let me blow this up a little more. You gotta get this one to blow up. I gotta do it this way. There we go. Whew, I hope that's big enough. Can everybody see that? because it's almost too big. I can't see it. All right. So let's pop over and see what's happened. Okay. First of all, let's go to the Systems Manager. And we're going to go in here and we're going to go to the parameter store. And I should be seeing, yep, there they are. There's the DB engine and there's the DB version. Okay. So I've named them my app DB engine, my app DB version. Okay. So let's pop into the Secrets Manager and see what we've got there. And let's go here, secrets. Okay. And here they are, my app DB cred. So let's go in here and look at these. Okay. So you can go in here, and like I said earlier, now here's the secrets value. It's not going to show it. I'm going to show it, but I'm going to ask you all just to forget what you see. Okay, that's important. All right, so I have a question here. How would the no echo value show in the TOML value? That is a great question. Let's pop back over there and take a look. So if I open up the TOML file real quick here, here's the create secrets. They are not saved. Okay, so I'm going to pull this over a little bit here. Only the ones that are echoed are saved. So you would need to retype those, but that's a good thing. So there, hopefully that helps you understand that. All right. So moving on here. So now let's go back to our Secrets Manager. You'll notice I've got this value. We're going to go ahead and pull it, but I'm going to have you all promise me that you won't remember this value. Let me blow this up a little bit too. This might help. You don't need to see my face. Yeah, nobody needs that. All right, so we're going to go to retrieve secrets value, and down here you can see it. Here's my username. Here's my password. That's my super secret password. All that data's there. Okay, so that's the key value. So if we go back to the other, so I can pop over. That's the key value. Here's the plain text. You can see that's the JSON object that we created. All right, so the other value we're going to go back to, let's go back to secrets. That's the creds. Here's my DB name. So notice this one here, when we retrieve it, this is just a simple string. Okay, it can't be converted to key name pairs. So it's just a simple string. So that's a way you can store data in, or you can manage your secrets using a SAM template, right? So the nice thing about this is I pass this template around to my different developers and things like that. They have the structure so the same name is going to happen. Let's go back to that structure real quick. I'm actually naming these values, right? So I'm calling my app DB engine, so we don't have to hey, did you get it right? Did you get it right? We know everybody got it right because it's the same. All righty. Okay, so yeah, okay, great. Chris Munns, thank you for answering that. All right, so let's look one other place. So we're going to go into CloudFormation. We're going to go into our template here and look at the parameters passed in. So you can also see that these are masked out because I'm using the no echo. So that's some good information to know. All right, so we've talked through how do I create values, right? Now, and you notice that I use some at SSM parameter store, and someone's asking if we're hiring. All right, okay, so and some of them are in the Secrets Manager. Now, let me explain where I use the difference. And to do that, we're going to go to our next template, our SAM template, to actually create the lambdas. We're going to just hide this one out of the way for a moment. Pull that up, kill the config file. All right, hopefully you can see my template. My font is so big that hopefully it's helpful. Now, let's talk the systems parameter for a minute, okay? So the parameter store in the systems manager. So systems manager, it does not support all types of resources, okay? For instance, on secure resources. So notice here, I'm doing for my secrets manager, I'm doing the AWS SSM parameter. I'm not doing a secure string, okay? There's another place where I'm just pulling straight up systems manager. Secure strings are not supported in every respect, and you can't create secure strings with CloudFormation, and so therefore you can't with SAM. So that's important to understand. All right, look at there. We have an interview going on in the chat. That's awesome. You're talking to the right person there, Lee Hilaire. All right, so let's look at why I'm using Secrets Manager. For Secrets Manager, number one, I can use that. It's supported in any resource. And I've actually got this. I'm going to post this in the chat. This is a good link to understand where they work and don't work here. Okay, there we go. So this link here, yeah, hopefully it should be showing up here. There we go. So this link here, and I've also put it in the chat, is good. This is how to use dynamic references. It shows how to use the different ones and how they build out. Okay, so let's show you how I'm building them in my template. Let me get back over here real quick. Okay, so the first thing we're doing, so I've just done this several ways so you can see it. The first way I've done it as a parameter. All right, so in this parameter, what I'm doing is I'm using the SSM parameter, and I'm saying I want the AWS SSM parameter value, and I'm going to pass in the string of the value I want. And the default, now this is kind of a little trick. So I'm saying the default value is /myapp/DB engine. Okay, and so what that does, that is a space, I guess. So what that does is that if I don't pass a value in when I do this, it's automatically going to do. Now I can change that if I want to, but this is one way of doing it. It's going to say, hey, the value I want in the key in the parameter store, the value I want is myapp/DB engine. All right. So the second way we're doing this, okay, and you can see down here, I'm passing all these variables into my Lambda function. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm grabbing a reference to that DB engine in the template. And that allows me to pass this in. Now, I'm passing these in as an example to our environment variables. However, you can use them elsewhere. Right? Or I can use them to pass in VPC, subnets. I can use them to do a lot of different things. But I'm using the Lambda as an example so we can kind of see this. So pass that in. But again, refer to that link that I sent you, and it'll show you the different areas where SSM works and it doesn't work, and secure strings work and they don't work. All right. General rule of thumb that I've come to, and this is just when you're pulling them into the SAM template, right? Is secure strings, use the secrets manager, SSM, or for non-secure strings, use the parameter store. Okay. If you're accessing them through code, which we're not going to cover today, but if you're accessing them through code, then that changes things. You can do secure strings through the parameter store. You can also reach to the secrets manager through the parameter store. Excuse me, I'm sorry, as well. So there's a lot of flexibility there, but we're talking about pulling them in through SAM templates. I'm going to take a drink here. All right. So the next way we're doing this is through resolving secrets. Okay, and how we do this, and this is through the SSM for the moment. So I'm going to grab my DB version because it's in the parameter store. And all I'm saying is I'm going to resolve. I'm hitting the service, the name of the key I want, and then the version of the key I want. And that's important because you need to have both of those. So there will be versions. So if we go back to our systems manager and you look at in the parameter store, I didn't realize we'd gone away from it. You can see if I go into my DB engine version 1. All right. So you want to grab the version that you want. All right. So that grabs that from a SSM store. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to resolve from secrets manager, and we're going to say resolve secrets manager my app DB name, and that's just a string. And I don't have a version, or I have one version on this. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If I don't pass a version on this, it's going to grab the latest. Okay, so that's the way you can do that is I'm just going to grab the latest version. And that's just that single string that we talked about instead of the JSON object. Now, for the JSON object, so I want to grab the username, and that's in a JSON object stored in the secrets manager. And how I'm going to do that is it's going to resolve secrets manager, my app DB creds, and then I'm going to give the key name. Then I pass the secret string. Now, this is kind of interesting. That's the only value allowed here at the moment, and there may be more as well. But this is it's called staging value, and we're saying, hey, we're getting a secret string. Okay, so that's just part of the structure, and then we pass the JSON key that we want. So I'm going to do a secret string, and I want the username. All right, and then I do the same with passwords. So let's go ahead and deploy this app and see what that looks like. Let's get down to the bottom of my thing here. I'm having a hard time getting a prompt. Give me one moment, please. There it is. Okay, let's clear this so you can see it and so I can see it. All right. That's really weird. I've got some weirdness going on. There we go. All right. Okay, it's looking normal. Let me look at questions here. Okay, so we still got, all right. Is this SDK to call secure? Yes, you can absolutely use SDK to call secure strings in the app code. I know Jay Walsh, you and I have talked quite a bit about this. You're probably more of an expert on SSM keys than I am, as much as we've talked about this. But yes, you can absolutely use the SDK if you need to. And again, this is where, hey, I want to grab that value every time my Lambda function invokes, right? So that's the difference here. What I'm talking about is building it so that every time we create or update the Lambda function, this is an absolute valid way. And you really have to look at what does my application require to decide which way you want to go. So great call out, John. I appreciate that. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to do again. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right one. So now I need to be in my app folder. I'm going to do SAM deploy -G to pass anything in again. All right, so this is my SSM app. Again, same region. Now my parameter DB engine, I'm going to leave that default because remember, I want it to just use that string to grab it. So I'm just going to let that be default. Okay, confirm my changes, no. I need the role, yes. Save all my information, yes. And off I go. And we'll deploy this. And it'll go out and then we'll be able to see what happens there. So while I'm doing that, I'm looking for if we have any other questions. Any questions going on regarding, I do a basic, okay, there we go. I did basically because password changes are more dynamically applied. Okay, so yep, that's right. That's exactly right. So I have a parameter stored in SecretsManager or a parameter store. Here's my Lambda. I make a change here. The next time that Lambda invokes, it'll grab that new change. So good call. All right. So our Lambda has been deployed. So let's take it to the Lambda. I want to call this out to you. We've worked really hard to do no echoes, to hide things. However, one thing I want to call out on the Lambda console. All right. So this is my SSM. Let's grab this function. Oh, hey, what did I name that? Bear with me 1 second here. Am I in the right region? I am in the right region. So I probably need to do a refresh real quick here. Okay, and should be off my SSM stack. There it is. All right, just need to do a refresh. All right, so here's my Lambda function. Very simple Lambda function. All it's doing is it's just simply returning the event. Okay, nothing terribly fancy at the moment. But let's scroll down, and there you go. So there's all our parameters, and they worked. Okay, but I can see them, right? So as we're looking at this, they're not masked in here. Now that's okay, but you have to understand that as you're going into security, right? So when we build out, so we're going to kind of jump into how do we build applications, how do we split environments. One of the reasons why I say this is okay is because if you're running best practices, most likely you should be using a separate literally account for each environment. Okay, so what that means is, so for my dev environment, I'm going to have a dev account. Each of my developers have a dev account, and that's okay if the developer sees the passwords he's passing in here, right? So for my staging, I'm going to have a staging account, and those will be different values. Now let's talk about that for a second. When I'm using that template that I talked about to create my parameters, I create one for my developers can create their own, but they've got the template, so everything should be the same name, just different passwords. And then whoever's managing, whoever has access to create them on the staging account, does it for staging. The same with prod, and those may be different folks. And so if you're able to create them, you'll be able to see them here. But nobody else should be able to get into those accounts because your prod account should be locked down. The only people that are getting into that account are probably the people that can see that. Now you can wrap with we won't get into it today, but there are some extra permissions you can wrap around, obviously, with SecretsManager that you can lock that down further, like who's getting to the account, different things like that. But be aware that these will show up in the Lambda console. So you want to lock it. I mean, best practices anyway, you should be locking your accounts down to do that. All right, so I got a question in here. Says what? Oops, sorry. I've already seen that one. What language are you applying Lambda expressions? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking there. In here, I'm using the YAML templating language when I'm creating. I haven't shown any code yet, so the only language I've shown was YAML. And so we can go back really there so you can see it again. Let me pull that back up so I'm smaller. And so you can see in that template, I'm actually using a YAML to do the layout. And this here, this is simply, this is these parameters that I'm throwing in. I hope that helps. All right. So we got another question. What if websites are pointed to the same root domain? How are different accounts of different environments going to access subdomains of the same root domain in the main account? All right, let's talk that through for a second. What if websites are pointed to the same root domain? Okay. How are different accounts of different environments going to access the subdomains of the same root domain in the main account? Well, so you have multiple websites pointed to the same root domain, and it's obviously multi-tenant. So there are different accounts of different environments going to access the subdomains. I got to be honest, I'm not exactly sure. And Chris, feel free. You won't hurt my pride. Jump in. Maybe you're understanding the question a little bit better. But a lot of this has to do with routing. You can also, if you have different applications, you can change your key names so that different keys. So that's how you can subdivide those. If you're talking about different folks seeing the same, accessing the same accounts, I would separate those out if you can. And I may just be missing the question, and if you can clarify me, that'd be great. I'm also glad to take it offline. You can reach me at EDJGeek on Twitter. All right. Does SecretsManager, backend service credentials, offer integration with AWS Cloud Map? So that's a good so Cloud Map directly, I'm not sure. I'm going to be real honest, but I can find out for you. But Cloud Map pulls in different resources, right? Like you can use Cloud Map to, you can now do HTTP. Good. Hey, Chris Munn just jumping in there. Thanks, Chris. You can now do HTTP API to connect through Cloud Map to resources underneath. And so your Secrets Manager would interface with, like, let's say you have ECS or EKS behind that, or EC2 instances, and that's you can interface there. Yep, good. Yep, I agree with Chris. The resources behind it are connected, but not the actual service itself. All right. So going back to here, I showed that we have the Lambda set up. You can see that those values are there. You want to be careful of that. We are almost at time. I'm glad to answer any other questions we might have. Next week, just while I'm waiting on questions, I'll tell you next week, we're going to be starting a series on governance around serverless applications. As developers are, getting into serverless, we're building more serverless apps. Companies want to add some governance and say, hey, things like, hey, all Lambda functions should have X-ray involved, different things like that. So we're going to be talking about how do I build something like that up using AWS config, and how do I use SAM templates to build that out. So when secrets are rotated, are rotated by Secrets Manager automatically, will we have to run SAM deploy again to update the environment variables? So one thing I would say, generally when you're using the automatic rotation, you're going to be using that with something like an RDS and things like that. And here's the fun thing. With Lambda, now I was showing a DB example, and to be honest, may not be the best, because in actuality, if I'm going to have a Lambda function connect to MySQL or PostgreSQL or something like that, I'm going to do it through RDS proxy, right? And RDS proxy is going to have those credentials it's going to work with the rotating credentials. And with Lambda, I'm just going to use identity and access management, right? But in a case where past that, if you're using rotating credentials just raw in the Lambda, there's not a way. The Lambda would need to be redeployed, but that's a real edge case. All right, so okay, we're going on a little bit. I think so we got an example. So if devxyz.com and would be different accounts, but XYZ would be registered in account A, B, and C would put in different. Can you route these accounts? Okay, yeah, for code calling SSM. Yeah. Okay, so you know what? Okay, yeah, I'm glad to answer that. We are at time at the moment, but I can definitely follow up with you. Hit me on EDJ Geek, and I think where you're more driving is routing and more HTTP API or API gateway kind of stuff, and I'm glad to be able to help you with that. When I say serverless, what exactly am I referring to? So serverless, I'm not laughing at you. I'm saying you put 100 people in the room. Sometimes we get different definitions. What you're able to do is, or serverless is managed services, right? So we talk about serverless as kind of our flagship of AWS Lambda functions. And the idea is, number one, you don't have any servers to manage. We handle all that. Number two, you pay for only what you use. Number three, automatic security and scaling. Security. And number four, automatic scaling. So the scaling security is built into the infrastructure. And we've got a post here from Moeed Zara in the link to take you to what is serverless. And with that, we're going to have to drop out. I appreciate the questions. Looking forward to seeing you next week on governance using AWS config. And have a great day and stay safe. And if you find Dr. Pepper, hold on to it. All right, we'll see you later.